40 kilograms of cocaine were seized yesterday in Toronto's East End. Police say the street value is $100 million. Police say they were tipped off by U.S. Customs and Drug agents after a truckload of Colombian coffee beans left New York for Toronto.
Our agents located a container with approximately 250 bags of coffee beans situated on the docks of New York. Subsequently, this container was taken to Toronto, where the seizure was made.
6 of those bags contained cocaine. Police say the drug is 90% pure. It was to be picked up by high-level Toronto traffickers. Police have made no arrests. A group of Toronto tenants lost a 7-month-long legal battle today. They were fighting an eviction notice from City Home, a non-profit housing agency. City Home wants to build a new affordable housing complex on the site. As Lord Madelon reports, the residents are now figuring out their next move to save their homes.
How long have you lived here anyway?
Almost 9 years. Pending an appeal, Michael Capel is spending his last Christmas here at 102 Tyndall in Toronto's West End. It's a peaceful place. Capel and a handful of tenants who've been fighting the eviction notice want to stay, citing the charm of a building built at the turn of the century.
Well, that's the thing. You don't find the detail of this also.
But the city has another plan, as Capel and the other tenants heard at the courthouse today. Demolish 102, spend $8.5 million, and build another complex with 54 units, an increase of 30 units, though rent in some cases would increase by hundreds of dollars a month. But the court said no to the tenants, and tenant leader Susan Feldman is wondering why.
Is the province willing to spend $8.5 million of taxpayers' money during a recession to add 30 more units? I don't understand how they could justify that.
For their part, City Home officials say the expenditure is justified at any time, particularly now in view of the City of Toronto's dwindling affordable housing stock.
Are they going to be kicked out tomorrow, sir?
Not at all. There was never any intention. I never had instructions to proceed with this in a rush. This was never intended to be proceeded with. Probably not. The earliest would be the middle of January.
Tenants have not yet decided on their next move. They have 2 choices: move at the city's expense to another City Home building, or stay and appeal, which freezes the process for at least 6 months. City Home's manager acknowledges the tenants wanted to spend their own money to upgrade 102.
But the age of the building and the substandard condition of the building works against that. And as a result, we're faced at this point in time with redeveloping the site.
This case featured a classic clash of ideals. The concerns of a group of tenants who wanted to preserve what they believed was an irreplaceable lifestyle, squaring off against city's perceived notion of the greater good. City Home wants to tear down the building to create a total of 30 more units of affordable housing. And now they have the legal permission to go ahead. Lorne Madelon, CBC News, Toronto.
A vigil was held today at the site of the Rupert Hotel fire. The rooming house burned down a year ago. 10 people were killed. Today, friends and relatives remember the victims. Paul Hunter reports.
It was the worst fire in memory, 2 days before Christmas. When it was over, the Rupert Hotel, an old Toronto rooming house, was destroyed. Faulty fire alarms inside had failed to rouse some of the tenants, and as a result, 10 people died, their bodies found days later.
Let us make sure today that no one died in vain last December 23rd.
Today, friends and relatives came to where the Rupert burned to remember the dead.
Donna King.
And on an old wooden wall surrounding the site of the hotel, they hung a wreath in the name of each victim.
Our song of mourning is turned into a song of justice today. It is that we shall overcome.
Save someone.
The fire sparked a re-examination of rooming houses in Toronto. Safety inspections were stepped up. And while there is more to be done, housing advocates say the government is listening.
I can't say that the actual situation for people has changed, but what we've got now, after a year, finally, we're in a position where we've got everyone around the table, everyone committed to taking action, and that's a very positive step.
Toronto's mayor pledged again to improve rooming houses across the city.
Well, we've got to get people in charge of rooming houses who care about the tenants, who just don't care about making as much money as they can. It's because when they don't care about the tenants, we have tragedies like this.
I believe that if everybody can get together and do something about the situation instead of scratching their head like what can be done, if they could just get out there and do something, maybe something like this won't happen again and no other families will suffer.
The site of the Rupert has been sitting vacant for the past year. The widow of one victim says she'd like to see something special built here to replace it.
I think that they should build low rental housing for the people who have no homes and dedicate it to the 10 people who died in this fire so that their lives will not have been given in vain.
Members of the Rupert Hotel Coalition say they expect an announcement on new approaches to rooming houses to come from the provincial government within a few weeks. Paul Hunter, CBC News, Toronto.
This will be an unhappy Christmas for hundreds of people in Ontario. The recession and dozens of plant closings have put people out of work across the province. One community near Kitchener has been particularly hard hit. A single factory has closed and left whole families unemployed. Ranazawa has the story.
These people used to work for Dealcraft Furniture. It was owned by the same people who currently own this company, Barrymore Furniture in Toronto. The plant that these people used to work at closed this past summer.
It's Christmas. It's going to be a really skimpy Christmas at my house this year, and there's just nothing I can do.
There's got to be something done to protect the workers, and especially in small towns like I have.
For almost a century, the people of Milverton counted on the furniture factory for employment. Since 1912, it's been the major employer. Owned first by the Hondrick family, later by Electrohome. Then, 3 years ago, it was bought by a group of investors headed by two brothers from Toronto, Tom and Brian Callahan.
I worked there, my wife worked there, my father-in-law worked there, and my uncle worked there.
110 jobs were lost in Milverton. Since there are only 1,600 people in the entire village, people here point out that it's equivalent to losing 100,000 jobs in Toronto, and losing jobs in the worst way.
They're left without holiday pay, severance pay, back pay, or benefits. And on top of that, they had to pay up what benefits they had used in the last month. They'd have to pay that up themselves.
The workers are just one of a list of almost 400 creditors owed money. At least $17.5 million is owed to creditors, most of which will never be seen. When Tom and Brian Callahan bought the plant, there was a lot of fanfare. They got $300,000 from the government. When they took over, they divided Dealcraft into 4 separate companies. It's perfectly legal, but in the event of bankruptcy, it means that there is no place for creditors to go to recoup their money.
How we got into such bad financial problems, I don't know.
Juanita Nolan handled the payroll.
When we're faced with bankruptcy, and we're told at that point that we can't recoup our losses because the company that owns the land and the building, we can't fall back on them. That was a shock to everybody. It really was.
Left without jobs and money, not only is the future of workers in jeopardy, the future of the whole town now hangs in the balance.
It's really hard to believe that it's even happened, for me and for a lot of other people.
The union is suing Tom Callahan personally for $750,000 in severance and back pay. The Ontario Federation of Labour calls this bankruptcy a worst-case scenario. The Reeve here says the town may never recover, but the workers say they're determined to fight back and win. The workers are also trying to get government money to start a small business in the abandoned Dealcraft building.
I want Milverton to take control of their own interest because they've been kicked around by big business enough.
While employees struggle to start their own business and save their town, their local MPP says she's hoping the new provincial government will help Milverton and its people and prevent this kind of story from repeating itself.
Everybody's hurting, except the guy who declared bankruptcy and walked away and left it sitting in a small town like that.
The Callahan brothers would not comment on the situation in Milverton. The Ontario government is proposing to set up a fund to help victims of bankruptcies, but it will be too late for these workers. Ranazawa, CBC News, Toronto.
Coming up on CBC at 11, cold weather and rain in the forecast. And with entertainment, Justin Smallbridge.
Thanks very much, Patricia. The entertainment tonight is going to be something of a somewhat religious nature, ecumenical, however, with the 5 blind boys of Alabama and their unique gospel stylings.
Christmas is a special time for family and friends, and it's a time when Shoppers Drug Mart helps to make your holidays festive and affordable. Right now, get this elegant silver-plated and brass picture frame free with a minimum $30 purchase of cosmetics or fragrances.
Okay, plug them in.
Hey, get that beaver away from the ladder.
Attention Kmart shoppers, it's the saving season at Kmart. Fuji T120 VHS video and HQ audio tape. Superb for all types of recording. 25% off. Fashionable stadium jackets with fleece or nylon lining. 3 size groups, Kmart priced at $59.97. Sleep easy in these flannel pajamas. Assorted patterns, small to extra large. Now just $9.96 a pair. Slip into some style. Slouch socks for ladies. An everyday low price. Right now at Kmart. For down-light comfort, get the non-allergenic Dreamscape pillow at Kmart's easy everyday low price. It's the saving season at Kmart.
Christmas is a wonderfully special time of year, a time you can be with family and friends and enjoy the best of the season. And Christmas is a time when each Shoppers Drug Mart is filled with special savings on everything you need to make your holidays festive, healthy, and affordable.
Okay, plug them in.
Hey, there's only room for 1 star on this tree.
Brisbois Christian Bookstore and Gift Shop is proudly keeping Christ in Christmas again this holiday season with Fontanini nativity scenes. Enter a free draw for this charming set. And sterling silver Italian-made rosaries, regularly $49.95, now $29.95. And with beautifully handcrafted Christmas villages, precious moments, collectibles, and more. Books, cards, videos, music, Bibles. It's all at Brisbois Christian Bookstore.
From our family to your family, blessed holiday. And I feel the night.
Action.
That's her. She killed him. You killed him, Laura.
Romance.
Nikki, I love you.
I wasn't using you.
Mystery.
Just because he was here doesn't mean he had anything to do with it, you know. I hate coincidence.
Where were you tonight?
You do think I killed him.
Night Heat, Wednesday nights at 8.
CBC and you.
Today is the first official day of winter, but the weather will be a little slow in catching up. Rain and extensive fog will continue overnight throughout southern Ontario, with lows of 7 in London, 8 in Windsor, and 6 in Metro Toronto. Tomorrow, scattered showers with highs of 10 in London and Toronto and 11 in Windsor. Sunday, Toronto will be much colder and windier, with snow flurries and a high of -5. More flurries are called for Christmas Eve Monday with a high of -6. And it will be a very chilly Christmas Day with more flurries and a high of just -8. Justin Smallbridge is here with a story of religious faith and music. Justin.
Thanks very much, Patricia. Well, of course, this is a time of year when religious matters tend to come to mind for quite obvious reasons. All this week at the Bermuda Onion up on Bloor Street, there's a group called the 5 Blind Boys of Alabama. They're a gospel unit that's been running for almost 5 decades. They're led by a man named Clarence Fountain. But even getting this kind of religious music across in a club isn't quite as anomalous as it might sound, because the power and strength of this music means that it's gospel that works equally well in a secular setting.
of Clarence Fountain and the 5 blind boys of Alabama stands as a testament to the power of faith. God has inspired great works throughout history, cathedrals throughout Europe, the Sistine Chapel, the Pietà. But there are few stronger examples of unalloyed joy and pure faith than the work of this outfit. It's an expression of joy and faith that's strong enough to have an effect regardless of its venue.
It doesn't make any difference when he was here. He was with these sinners as well as the Christian folks. That's where we look at it, and we think that singing it is just as good as preaching it. And so we just go into the clubs, and which I think after a while, if you hear, you'll see that they feel good in the club just like they do in church.
The core group of singers has been doing the Lord's work for almost 5 decades, but it's only been since their recent participation in the Broadway version of the Oedipus story, a play called The Gospel at Colonus, that they've attracted widespread attention outside the confines of the church.
We know that the masses of people are not going to understand, but we don't mind letting people know how we feel about the Lord, because he's been good to us, and he's brought us 45 years of singing and not let no hurt, harm, or danger befall us. And I think that's a lot to be thankful for.
So if you want to get right with God before Christmas Day, Clarence Fountain, the 5 blind boys of Alabama are playing at Bermuda Onion right through until and including Sunday night. That wraps it up for entertainment. And now, Patricia, it's back inside to you.
Thank you, Justin. And coming next on CBC at 11, sports with Bruce Dobigan. And what, Bruce, no hockey?
No hockey. As a matter of fact, it's football making a comeback in Montreal.
We quit smoking.
We quit smoking. Well, I'm not smoking. And I didn't think anybody could do that.
15,000 cigarettes a year times 35 years.
So I've been smoking for 45 years. It's the easiest thing in the world to quit. I've done it 1,000 times.
Cigarest helps you break nicotine addiction, and it works in as little as 7 days.
I smoked 43 years. I quit just like that.
I thought I was just going to go nuts wanting a cigarette. I never did. I was just wonderful.
5 packs a day for a while. I'm doing great now.
She bought it and said, try it, and I reluctantly, half-heartedly tried it. But it was so easy that just breezed through it.
If it worked for me, it could probably work for anybody.
And it really works. I was really shocked.
Well, I think if I can quit, anybody can quit.
I would do anything to help somebody else quit, like I did, if I could. Because I'm so grateful. I really am. So grateful.
No matter how much you smoke, no matter how long you've been smoking, with Cigarest, your satisfaction is guaranteed.
On the other programs, I guess I spent around $2,500 to $3,000.
When you think of the price, it's just amazing.
Think of what you can do with $1,000.
Well, I figured it up at 25 cents a pack, and I could have bought 2 of the homes that I live in now.
And without smoking, we've got a few more years to go together.
Tell them to do what I did. Just order it.
I'd say pick up that phone like I did and call the toll-free number.
Cigarest is guaranteed or your money back. To order, call toll-free 1-800-541-7999 in Canada or the U.S. or send $29.95 plus $4.95 shipping to Cigarest, P.O. Box 747, Station A, Department 110, Downsview, Ontario. Or call our toll-free number and order the Cigarest plan now. That's 1-800-541-7999. It's the #1 non-prescription smoking contingent program available today.
Cruising with Cooks in the Southern Caribbean this fall and winter on the world's newest ship sailing from San Juan is really something special. And so is the price. For under $1,000, including airfare, you can enjoy the luxurious new cruise ship Horizon. We'll visit San Juan, Martinique, Barbados, St. Lucia, Antigua, and St. Thomas. Book now and save $350 per cabin. Contact Cooks Travel, Leamington, or Windsor. U.S. clients call toll-free 1-800-265-3636.
Well, in keeping with the Christmas spirit, it was a silent night in the NHL tonight. No games, no hits, no errors, but tomorrow all humbug will break loose as 20 teams make it onto the schedule. Toronto Maple Leafs have a busy weekend. They start tomorrow afternoon. Yes, it's an afternoon game in Washington against the Capitals. Sunday, they'll be in New Jersey to play the New Jersey Devils. There's no local TV of either of those games. The Leafs are unbeaten in 5 road games. The Red Wings have a busy weekend as well as the Leafs. They are on the road for 2. They head to Winnipeg to return the visit. Last night, of course, they defeated the Jets in Detroit by a score of 3-1. They'll be heading to Winnipeg for an 8:05 start there. On Sunday, they head into Chicago. Wings have to improve that road record if they want to get the home advantage in the playoffs. But, of course, last time they were into Chicago, they did beat the Blackhawks. So there is hope there, at least on that one. Now, of course, Christmas is a time for wishes, and the folks behind Montreal's entry into the World League of American Football certainly have a very large wish on their behalf. That's a wish that they can make of a go of a game that has failed in Montreal in every way in the last couple of times it was tried.
The last time Montreal had a pro football team to cheer for, there wasn't a lot to cheer for. Disinterest and disappointment led to the disappearance of the Alouettes. Out of those ashes comes the Machine, the 10th and final addition to the World League of American Football. Why, you ask? Couldn't Montrealers pick the name and colors?
And we recognize if in a perfect world, perhaps we would have been able to do that, but we just couldn't because of time. But we think that from a short-term standpoint, that is not going to might have some impact. But from a long-term standpoint, we think that the stability of the league is such that we had to go ahead and do it.
The league calls the shots in Montreal for one simple reason. It owns the team. There was no one here ready to ante up the $11 million franchise fee. Considering recent events, that's not surprising. Pro football in this city has a cloud over it. This summer's NFL exhibition game drew less than 30,000. Still, that's the kind of crowd the Machine would be happy to have. With only 5 games to the Big O to sell, team president Roger Doré is optimistic.
We have everything done, and with discussion with people around other professional teams, and with the discussion that we had with the football personnel around the league, we are pretty sure that this amount of spectator will be, we will realize such attendance.
The Machine goes into operation in March. That means trying to compete for attention with the Canadians and the Expos. But the people running the World League have already grasped the obvious about the Montreal sports fan.
We have built the league for the long term. And certainly the fan association with the team ultimately is going to be one based on the style of play and whether you win or lose.
The Machine must still hire a general manager and a coach before the draft of players in February. The home opener at Olympic Stadium is against the Barcelona Dragons on April Fool's Day.
And that was Tom Harrington reporting from Montreal. And why is it I get the feeling that that's one machine that just won't fly? Just an idea. While the NHL is quiet tonight, the NBA is certainly hopping. There are 9 games on a busy schedule on a Friday night, including a game with the twice defending champions, the Detroit Pistons. Now, they've been struggling a lot of late, but they were at home at the Palace at Auburn Hills against the Atlanta Hawks.
Detroit and Atlanta. John Battle, strong move to the bucket against Joe Dumars, who says, hey, I didn't do anything at all. Battle again. End of the first quarter. Tough shot. Excellent defense by Vinnie Johnson. All over him, right? Doesn't matter. Makes it anyway. For Detroit, they say, we'll take the long rebound, and it's off and running. Vinnie. Mark Aguirre. Smooth, too. Nice break. There is no doubt that Atlanta has played much better since John Koncak has joined the lineup. Second effort for John. Puts it on the floor, muscles his way in. But this evening belonged to Detroit. James Edwards. Finishing touches. Detroit wins 113-87.
John Koncak. Yeah, anyhow, one other NBA game you might be interested in. Michael Jordan and the Chicago Bulls tonight defeating the LA Lakers score 113-87. A trade in the NHL of note this afternoon. Rob Brown of the Pittsburgh Penguins. He's been rumored to be ready to be traded for a long time. Well, today was the magic day, and a lot of people are scratching their heads over this deal. He was sent to the Hartford Whalers in exchange for a winger, Scott Young. A lot of people thought that the Maple Leafs and the Red Wings could have offered the Pittsburgh Penguins a heck of a lot more for Rob Brown, but maybe Pittsburgh was just trying to get a headache off of their hands. Rob Brown has a reputation for being busy both on and off the ice, and I guess that preceded him when he went to Hartford Whalers. Well, San Diego Padres today doing the Blue Jays a favor. They signed free agent pitcher Larry Anderson to a two-year deal. Anderson last year a pitcher with the Boston Red Sox, and he would have made them a lot stronger in the bullpen, but Sox have spent a lot of money on free agents this fall and this winter, and so I guess they just didn't have any more to ante up for a relief pitcher. Some sad news from the NFL today. Chicago Bears rookie lineman Fred Washington. This morning he was killed in a two-car crash in the suburbs of Chicago. The 23-year-old was a second-round draft pick of the Bears last season. And one score to report to you tonight in the OHL. The Windsor Spitfires winners again, second night in a row over Detroit. The winners tonight by a score of 8-3. And to all our fans out there and the new folks down in Windsor, all the best for a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year from us here at CBLT Sports. Back to you guys.
Have a good weekend, Bruce. And that is it for CBC at 11 for Friday, December 21st. And for me, Patricia Chu, this is our last show until Boxing Day. Paul Hunter will be filling in next week. Have a safe and happy Christmas. Good night.